everyone, Todd from Sideshow Effects once again, and in this video I'm going to go through the installation and setup procedure for our Stream Deck XL color panel for Davinci Resolve, and this is the Windows version. Now of course this will allow you to control almost all the parameters inside of DaVinci in the color page, as well as be able to access some custom variables in Fairlight and the inspector and that sort of thing. And you can see those actions in our navigation video, and the link will be below. But for now, this is to get you up and running once you've downloaded the pack. So once you've downloaded it, this is what you're going to see when you open the folder. Now the first thing we want to do is we want to install our Midi ports, because this works a lot on Midi. So how we do that, you need to get a copy of this free program called Loupedeck, and we've provided the URL in your PDF, and here it is here. You just download Loupedeck, go through the installation process, make sure it'll auto start when you restart your computer. You always want to have it running. And when you launch it, this is what you're going to see, except this will be blank for you if you've just installed it. If you're using some of our other products that use Midi on Windows, you will likely have something similar to this already set up. But we're going to add in a couple of new ports just for this pack. And how you do that, we're going to click on the new port name first. We're going to get rid of this, and we're going to type in color panel underscore in capitals, and it needs to be capitalized the way I'm showing here, with capital C, capital P, capital I, and capital N with the underscore. And then we hit the plus, and that adds it in. And we're going to do a second one. It'll be color panel underscore out, all in caps. So capital C, capital P, underscore OUT in caps. Click the plus, and you'll see it will have added it at the bottom here. And that's good. We're good to go. We just set it aside. It should always be running in the background. Next thing to do is turn to the folder you downloaded from Sideshow Effects. You're going to go in and you're going to see this setup script folder. Now inside of here, you don't need really to go inside this at this step, but these are the scripts that we've written for all of this to run. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this entire folder as is, and I'm going to drag it into my documents folder. So I'm going to copy it, send it to documents. You can either hold control as you drag it to documents, then it leaves this one in place, or you can just move the entire thing in, either way. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to import the profile into Stream Deck. Now if you look in here in the SDXL profile, you'll see there's two profiles here. One is for the studio version of Davinci Resolve, and one is for the non-studio or the free version of Davinci Resolve. So whichever one you happen to be working with, that's going to be the profile that you will load into your XL device. They're almost virtually identical, except the non-studio does not have Magic Mask or Dolby Vision. So the easiest way to install this is have your Stream Deck running, and if you have more than one device, make sure you're on the Stream Deck XL device, not on Plus or your 15 key. So your Stream Deck XL, and with that open, you can just double click on the one that you are working with. So I'm going to be working with the studio version, so I will double click this file and it will install for me, and I'll know it's installed because it will pop up on the device. And there you go. We can see that it's successfully installed. Now the next thing to do, since we're here, is we're going to click on our load panel key in Stream Deck software. So click on it once, and then go down here to this browse button, and we're going to navigate to our documents folder, to that setup script folder that we just imported into our documents folder. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to click on the Sideshow Effects Color Panel Studio.exe file. Now, if you're doing the non-studio version, you would have installed the non-studio profile, and you'll come here and you will click on the non-studio executable file. But since we're doing studio at this point, I'm going to select this, And what that tells the software is when I click this button, it's going to load that script. Now I do happen to have our non-studio version already loaded here, and you can see it looks slightly different, and also the icon is orange, not red, indicating that that is our non-studio version of the script. All right, so we're going to go back to Studio. Now that we've loaded that in, we've got to do one other thing. We're going to go to the marketplace here. If you don't already have it installed, you go to plugins. We're going to do a search for Midi. Just type in Midi here, and you'll see this plugin here, Midi by Charlie Gaspel. If you don't have it installed, you'll see a blue install button here. You'll click that, and it'll just take a second to install it. You want to make sure that you have the Midi plugin installed. It needs it. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go pop here into Preferences, and this is the studio version I just imported. What I want to do is I want to associate my copy of Davinci Resolve as in the application drop down here, so that when my DaVinci application comes forward, it is going to load this profile into my device. So it's a dynamic linking. And one other thing we want to do, we're going to go back out to our downloaded folder. There's a keyboard command folder in here, and there's a key file. And we need to make sure that we get this loaded in DaVinci. So let's go into our DaVinci application. We're going to go to Davinci Resolve Keyboard Customization, and you can see I have it loaded here. But if what you would do then, if you don't have it loaded, you go Import Preset, you navigate to that folder that you had downloaded from Sideshow FX. Here it is here, into the keyboard command, and you would double click this, and this is the one you want to run. Okay? And you would say, okay, I've already got it open, so I'm not going to do it twice. Now this is the same text file that we use in all of our DaVinci products, so you don't need to swap out any keyboard commands. This is the same one. And speaking of which, if you do happen to have our DaVinci Pro Profiles pack on your XL device, as I do here, then what you can do is you can create a switch profile key here and in our color panel pack, and that way we can bounce back and forth between the two very easily. Let's do that now. So I will go on the right hand pane of all the actions that we have. I'm going to locate the switch profile key. Here it is here under navigation, and I can put it onto any empty key I want. And when I click on that, you can see it's asking what profile that I want to load when this key is pressed. Well, we will select our color panel studio, and we also have an icon that can go here. If you go back into your pack and go into the color panel icons, we have an icon you can use for the color panel. You just click and drag that onto this icon tray, and it will load up. Now when I go to the device and I click that button, it's going to load the color panel pack we just loaded. Now you see in the top left we have our home key. We can send this to that DaVinci Pro pack itself. So now when I click on the home key, it takes us to my DaVinci Pro pack. When I click on color panel, it takes me to the color panel pack. So very quickly I can jump back and forth between the two. And as I said before, they both use the same keyboard text file that we provide in both packs. So let's go back into DaVinci. What we're going to do is we're going to load the panel script. So let's start by clicking Load Panel. Now it's going to ask us to select our MIDI ports. So we'll say OK. It's going to ask us if we want to launch the MIDI port selection. Say OK. And then in this dialog, we want to make sure that we select Color Panel In, and then say Done Reload. Now you'll see down at the bottom the icon tray, you can see the red trackball indicating the script is now active. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to reset our user interface. Now you can do it one of two ways. You can go up here to Workspace and select Reset UI Layout, but we made it easy for you. On the main page of our profile we have a Reset UI button. This sets things up exactly the way we need for the script to work optimally. Now you can change a few things if you want. You can turn the timeline off, or you can turn the clips off, but you can't have both off at the same time. That'll stop the script from running. So for now we'll just leave clips on. And the other thing to keep aware of is you need to be running at a minimum resolution of 1920 by 1080. Anything at 1920 1080 and above is perfectly fine. And the other thing to be aware of is if we click on our keyframes here, you'll see we have split primary and secondary views pane. If we click this once, you can see it expands our keyframes out, and we can't have this view. So we should always be operating with the icon in this position and with our keyframes pulled back to this position. And you can put scopes on as well. And one more additional setup procedure you need to take care of is we're going to go up to File, Project Settings, and we're going to go to Color Management here. And we want to make sure that we check the box for Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus, and HDR Vivid. You want all three of these checked, and you'll say Save, because we need them to appear here in the header tray. Even though we don't have HDR10 Plus and Vivid mapped into the profile just yet, and you may not use these, and you may not even use Dolby Vision, which we do have mapped, they still need to exist in this header because it makes everything to the right of it line up correctly, so that when we press the key on the Stream Deck device, it will point to the correct header. So once that's all installed and the script is running, we can give it a quick test. Go over to Primaries, for example. We'll click on the Primaries tab here. It launches the Primaries pane in DaVinci, and we can go to, say, Temperature, and we can immediately start adjusting our color temperature, our tint, raise our lift, lower our gain, etc. So we do have full control over all of the parameters on here. And as we're going to show you in the navigation video, and I urge you to take a look at that to get an idea of everything that's involved in this pack and how to get to certain areas. You can add in the addition of having a shuttle control and even a trackball. Even though these controls work and they're just fine as they are, you'll find that you may get even more control by using a shuttle controller for certain features, and certainly for things like the color wheels, adjusting it with a trackball is going to be a lot more intuitive than just adjusting with the Stream Deck itself, although it can be done. Now, just as a little troubleshooting, you may find sometimes that the script becomes unresponsive. It's very easy to just go down here to the tray, and we can click on here, we can right click and say exit. That's our custom script that runs alongside the studio script. Right click on this, and we can say exit, and that exits it. You can also exit it using the exit key here if you choose. You can run it again. Once again, it's loaded in the tray. We can then make sure everything is working. If it stops working for whatever reason, you can go to the tray here, click on the studio, and say reset all. And this will have you go through the MIDI port selection once again to make sure that you've correctly identified the MIDI that it's looking for. And once again, you can check to make sure things are working as expected. So let's reset that. So there you go, you're all up and running. I urge you to take a look at the navigation video so you can get a full idea of where everything is and how you can control pretty much everything there is in the color room in Davinci Resolve. As always, thanks again for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.